I think it is actually because of I got lots of covered and people are busy. So I'm going to actually just yes. So I'm going to actually just talk about it a little bit, because not many people, so I just make it short. And for task manager, sometimes it's very useful. We actually find out lots of problems. I actually debug with them and find lots of problems with the with our auto update. Now, look at this. So we actually I will for the new one. I illustrate, okay, the thing. So the first one is iManage Update Manager. Okay, that one is the root. So I always keep a link there. Keep a link there. It's called. Let me just check where's my auto update. Okay, so this one, and then artifact. The artifact is a company and doing the the auto update. We base on this architecture, so JFrog artifact. It is a company. Okay, it's a company. We actually building our stuff is building a company. Did you see? This link, it is very important. I always use a link it. So the one is the most important one is the iManage install exact. Okay? If you actually go into the if you actually install this exact, and you will actually it's just a one-click installation. Okay, one-click installation. Now, so auto, okay, it's auto, this one, it actually will do the auto update, okay? Now, one is actually very important one. If you look at the tab, this one is the task manager is a PID, process ID, used to be. I think it is actually like a couple of years ago, I always can find the parent PPID, the parent process ID. These days, it didn't. I don't know who is a parent. I think we should actually, the task manager, these days, when you actually go to the select column, I cannot actually see where is the parent ID. There's no, parent. I'm really surprised it didn't actually put in there, okay. The one is actually, it's very important. So if you actually run this, okay, the auto update, it first will, the installer, the setup, when you download the setup, it actually will, they have so many bugs before. When you install, you have to monitor them very carefully. This one, it is actually, you need to turn on that flag called elevated. You see, the elevated right now is no. When you do the installer, it actually the setup. When you set up, you want to actually put your in the program files, in the registry, right? But usually the login user is normal user. You don't have the privileges. So what happens is the setup program first elevate itself as admin and install everything. But after you install everything, it needs to downgrade it to the non-elevated one. Lots of problems. We actually we're running so many problems, and then we actually find out the flag that's called elevated one is very important. You want to actually run iManage update managers. You want to run non-elevated one. Whenever you have this kind of installer problems, is that you cannot install wrong messages, all these kind of things. You first will look at is it running elevated one or not elevated one. Installation need run elevated one, but it is now this is doing the auto update. Then it will install a service like it is not a service. We call the service iManage, it is actually the background always running. So the state exact. What do you mean by state exact mean? State exact is you keep all the necessary process running. It will launch for you. So this one, iManage state exact will launch, you know, IW agent, the background. IW background will launch IW singleton. Because what happens is if you actually kill this, right? If you kill WCS, it will relaunch. Who controls it? That is the auto state exact. Okay, it's controlled. Anybody talking about this or no?
Yeah, Wally covered it a bit today, and Tony too.
Yes, yes. So what happened is I always look at this one. They actually have run into so many problems with this one.
Just to confirm,
now,
it's going to be temporarily run as elevated, but once it's installed, it should put
that is right. That's right. But if we actually running into very weird problem, installation problem, I find out is, you know, they actually discussed that many times. Wally is sometimes it's running into the elevated one. Then elevated one, then it actually is very hard to actually to actually. Now, another thing is, whenever you actually, we have lots of problems when you actually Outlook, like hanging or something like that. We always want to look at the GDI number. It is up or not. Usually it's around 2,000 or something. Memory you want to actually keep, you can actually sort about this, right? So now the thing is, this process monitor, the task manager sometimes is not as powerful as we know. This one is actually the process explorer, right? The processor, I always want to actually know which one is the parent, which one is in the process tree, right? In process tree. So this one, it is actually, another thing is, I want to actually find out which one it actually is loaded in the process space. Let's say in Outlook, where where it is actually loaded. So I can actually use this one to see. So you see, sometimes I want to actually really know who launched who. So let's say I want to actually WCS will launch which one, okay? Say IWWCS is launched by whom and where it is it, okay? So let me actually just check WCS, okay. Yeah, you see, Outlook launched the Chromium. The Chromium, this is the master Chromium. Master Chromium launched the 3, small Chromium, okay? So, and I want to actually see the IWWCS. So IWWCS is a service. Wait a minute, where it is? Not in the Chromium. Developer. It is where to go. So in here, it's not in the system. Here, where is the IWWCS? Where's the IWWCS for the process monitor? Weird. Oh, here. So this is auto update itself, but I need to find out that one. Okay, so one thing it is actually, so whenever you're running the process monitor, I always do this. So you actually go to view, lower pane, and you see DLLs. Okay, you see DLLs. Now this DLLs is all the DLLs. Okay, all the DLLs. Not only the DLLs, sometimes the files it is actually, it's loaded, it will show. Okay, you see? These are the files. These are the files. Okay, these are the files and the DLs loaded. One thing is very important, very interesting. I have one actually feature usually I will use a lot. Sometimes I say, oh, this file cannot delete. I want to actually find out who actually holding on to it, right? So let me actually just demo to you this one. Let me actually just say, Outlook, remember, Outlook, we have an OST file, is that right? I want to actually, sometimes I got this error. It says running out of resources. What do you mean resources? Is it because everybody holding on OSTs? Sometimes they have race conditions. They try to, like say, the Skype or Outlook or something, or WCS, they all actually try to get OSTs. It's a running out object. Sometimes I want to actually find, who actually really, the Outlook actually open the store. You see? Let me actually just show you. Sometimes I do this, okay? So I actually have the profile. And in the profile, I have more settings, advanced settings. You see, this is the file, it's an OST file, right? The OST file is logging into it. But I say, what is going on? I actually suspect, has Control C, has something process is actually also logging to this. Sometimes I cannot delete this file. I don't know why. I open a Word document. I close the Word. Integration is gone. But I still logging it or something like that. I actually have this feature. So what happens is if you go to the process monitor, did you see? You can find handles and DLs. It is not only DLs. It's also file handles. Look at this. I actually put it in here. I do search. Let's see which actually process will actually access this. Okay. Interesting. So this is the one. It will tells you. It actually is good. I want to actually know who actually logged into Outlook session. You see, this one, sometimes it gives you some insights in there. The UC mappy.ex is actually holding to that. Actually, sometimes you will see Skype and will holding on to it because of the address book. Outlook definitely holding to it because of this. Sometimes you will see, right now I didn't see it. Okay, IWWC is also holding on to it. Okay, this is a very useful feature. Sometimes you can actually just say, I want to actually find out, which actually DLs loading it, and files are locked and something like that. And this is very useful. This is very useful. And another usefulness, I think it is you can if you put here, you can actually find out all the keys it opened by this Outlook or by this process. Okay, all the mutex, semaphores, okay, sections, process, which actually process holding to it, which process you opened, you see, all the files are there, semaphores, all these things, they are here. Sometimes it's very useful, especially you want to actually see, Word open which files. Let's say you open temporary directories, where is it coming from, all this kind of stuff. You can actually, find it here. Okay, this is Process Explorer. I actually use when you actually simple ones. I just check the task manager. But whenever you want to actually find more complicated ones, a Process Explorer. This is also from the sysinternals. Okay, already bought by this. So I actually use a lot. And And for the process, sometimes also is very useful. Okay, let me actually just check because maybe yes. So let's say actually just yes. Okay, right? And wait a minute. Okay. So let me check. So sometimes it actually has this very useful thing. So sometimes I actually, sometimes you actually got a message box, right, for the process, for the message box. Lots of time I want to actually see this message one, where it's coming from. Huh? Which process control this? Okay? We actually sometimes have a very complicated ones, and we want, how do I actually, from this window, I want actually which process is holding on to it. I have a small one, small utility is very useful. That is the SPI++, right? SPI++ is actually tells you, all about Windows systems, all the Windows messages, processes, threads, and all it is actually how they actually each other. You see, I have this one very, very small one, and you can actually so this one is the Windows search. This one is a property. So sometimes I actually use the Windows properties to find out lots of behind the scenes. When you actually hanging, when you actually all these kinds of things, when you actually can see the last messages. So you see, I can actually go over here. Doesn't matter which one, you can go over here. I want actually to see who actually control that, Windows. Okay, then I can actually see, it's something like hanging or something, which process is hanging and over this. You see? So I can actually see, you can go this Windows message, or you can actually go this property. I go this property. There you go property. Then for this window has a property there, and you see it has a process ID. Which thread actually control this process? And you can actually go. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay. It's coming. Okay. Oh, this window, it is actually controlled by IW agent. Okay, we know the background process, the background, it is actually it's doing all the all the downloading, forms, iManage configure files. The IW agent is control this notification. The notification, it is actually, it says, oh, now I know this one is IW agent, is a module name, and so you can actually check this one. I think, and of course more advanced one, for this one is very useful, especially for debugging hanging issues, and which windows is wrong, which window it is actually is like hiding, because let's say, okay, so this window, I close it.
So would we be able to use any windows in background as well to select or to see or detect which one is, or mainly the ones that we select as to see what process control?
Yes. So what happened is, if you actually use the SPI++, right? It actually I use a lot. This one is the whole Windows hierarchy. Tells you which window is which window. Okay, so the top level window is desktop, the whole this one. Okay, now it actually, after that, they call the top level windows, they actually give you the whole window architecture. Now you can actually find out, you can find out in the tree which windows you want to actually find. Let's say you want to actually find say like dialog, you can find all this. Okay, now there's another one is actually like very important, useful. it is actually look at the processes. So the process, it will tells you, okay, show you. You see, the process, let's see, Word, Outlook, or something like that, right? No, it actually will, let me see, IWWCS, right? You see, IWWCS is running lots of different threads. But usually one process, okay, this is Windows architecture. So Windows, when you have one process, you have lots of threads, but there's only one UI thread. One UI thread usually is control lots of windows. You know, some other thread can have hidden windows, but they usually used as a messaging interfere each other, but not as a present dialogue or the thread or something like that. So you can actually see this is the notification window. Did you see the notification window? So this one is called iManage WCS notification window. This is a window. It's very interesting to see. So you can actually just see. I see the messages. You don't see any messages. Is that right? So I can actually see what actually message is sending. Okay. So the messages. I actually just say select all. Okay. Save as default. I want to actually see all the messages there. Let me actually just show you this one. Okay. Show you this Windows message. If I close Outlook, you see, I actually close the Outlook. It actually sends a message to it. Outlook, we have the intercommunication. I designed this one. What happened is we have a very interesting bug because Outlook it's connect to the mapping. IWCS needs to background mapping, right? We have one bug. It actually bothering us for 2 weeks. Eventually, I find it and we can release. Otherwise, cannot release. What happened is, Outlook log into a session, mapping session, Outlook session. IWCS log into a session, right? But when you Outlook exit, because they use the share session, Outlook cannot exit. It is very bothering me. So when you actually Outlook is hanging over there, next time you cannot launch. So we actually have this, Penny's problem. On my machine, I don't see it. It's randomly. So what happened is, it actually is, you exit, you actually send in a file, an inbox file triggered. Then Penny and Mohit try to exit Outlook. Outlook, it cannot actually, it cannot exit because, IWCS holding on the message. Only when you actually kill the IWCS manually in the task manager, Outlook exiting. Okay. We actually I find out that this is actually Outlook bug. But how I solve it, use this, then I actually thought about it is, I actually, when it is actually Outlook launch, when Outlook exit, I send a message to the, to Vinod's, IWWCS. It says I exit. As soon as I actually send him message, okay, IWCS, IWWCS, I told Vinod, you kill yourself. So he killed himself, then Outlook exit. Now, let me actually demo this. It is actually fascinating to see. So what happened is, so you will see the weird thing, but it actually is not weird. Okay, now look at WWCS. Running the process number is 32,900 9616. Is that right? Okay, let me actually run Outlook. Okay. Outlook is running. Okay, Outlook is running, right? Outlook is running. Now you will see this kind of weird behavior, but it's actually interesting to see. We actually use this kind of things there and to see it. Okay, now look at this. So IWWCS, okay, this one right now is 32,916, right? So let me actually just close Outlook. Look at close Outlook. It sends a message to it. Wait a minute. Don't tell me they actually. No, wait a minute. Outlook is gone? Oh no. Wow. Outlook is didn't exit. Interesting. Usually it should exit.
It should exit
IWWCS. It should give you a UPID number. Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, maybe I didn't log in. It should not matters. It should not matter. So let me actually just check again. Okay. Why this one has a white screen over there? Very interesting to see. Okay. All bugs, like sometimes we have a problem. Okay, let me actually just not always on top. The machine is a little slow. Okay. So I can just switch WCS. Okay. So my screen is small. So I already connected. Let me just check. Okay, so IWWCS 32. So he didn't actually queue himself because I sent a message. What happened is they have a little bit of small bug there. I find out is if you don't actually turn on. If you don't turn on the standard filer, inbox filer, if you don't turn on, if everything is disabled, he didn't exit itself. I think it should exit itself because at that time he didn't, doing this. But what happened is the config file, we download the file, iMobility maybe is updated, is disabled, or this kind of sorts of things. Okay, so what happened is I want to actually show you, when you actually want to actually find out, we need to use this kind of thing, interesting. Process monitor, process explorer. Okay, let me check the process explorer. Let me actually just check again. WWCS. Okay, Spy plus. Where is WWCS? I didn't see it. I saw it before. I had to open everything. Is it because it's written in C? Yeah, I saw it before. Oh, WWCS. Okay, this is good. This is good. So you can actually see. You can actually see very clearly. Okay. So this is a process, strict. Okay. So IW singleton is separate. It is not controlled by, iManage state exec. iManage state exec to control this, is launched by IW agent, launched by IW agent background and WCS. It is very clear from the process tree, and it's very clear. Okay, so you can see IW singleton is this, and if you can actually look at IW singleton, and you can see what actually the file is actually, which one the key is opened, the keys, the register keys is opened. Okay, all these kind of sorts of things, mutex and the threads and which thread is running. It's interesting to see. Okay, you can explore yourself and if you are interested. Of course, we actually have another one I always side by side, and the process monitor, right? Okay, the process monitor. One is actually, it's a very important one. You don't want to actually see so many things. You always use the filter, okay? The filter I actually will use, usually it is the process name is Outlook, right? So you can actually, the filter is Outlook, and you, okay, so let's see, actually got the filter. Okay. Okay, so okay, let me see it again. Okay, you got the filter is on. It says okay, right? Okay. So we have like the 5 tabs there. Okay, this one is actually, I think, it's the most important thing. Okay, the file. Okay, usually it's on default the network. The profiling. This one is on. This is off. These 4 are on. So for the registry, there's too many. You can actually use a filter to find it. And also, it actually, the file one is very important. Network one, I never use network one. Because, why? Because if I want to use network one, I rather use like, a Wireshark or like, Fiddler. It is actually, it's a lot better, right? Then show the process, the thread activity, I never use. I always use the file activities. It is the most important one. Profiling, I actually rarely use, because the profiling in the View Studio have a very, very good profiling feature. You can actually just track how many calls you made, how long you actually each call made, or something like that. Okay, and these kind of things, and the process monitor, process task manager, process explorer, all these sorts of things, and I cover briefly. It's already half an hour. Okay, so I actually just maybe they already talk about how do you configure the alpha channel and the Discord auto update, right? But behind the scene, you can actually see when you actually have problems, you want to always look at the elevator, elevation, the flag, to see, and the process once there, and you go to the config file, is you have a quality channel of a release channel, and you also, there's config files, for the state exact which process you want to monitor, in the configuration files, and you can actually do this. And always keep a link over there, okay, for the link. Okay, for that link, if you want to actually install separately, you can actually download it from here. This is the latest version. It is 1.20. It is not you go to like a Venus or go to Mars to download anymore. You can actually just download it from here. Okay. Now, if you auto exec, you got this one. Or if you want to run, you don't want to run the auto installer. In that case, you can actually use the agent service yourself. You can actually put the agent service yourself. You don't need to actually download the order. But I would actually strongly recommend it, they actually do the great job, for the auto update, and you can actually just one click and you will install everything, right? You can actually subscribe which channels, their desktop channel or their side channel, and you can actually do this kind of things. Okay. Of course, I have different tools, and so many different tools, as available, and you can see, I have lots of different tools, check the .NET versions and all this, like a Postman, all this kind of debugger tools. How do you send, how do you debug the White Rabbit? Look at the Postman. But these are the things, I think it is maybe too advanced or not many people interested, So I just skip. And I think the most thing I covered, is I think it's the most important ones. Smaller ones, how do you actually configure the icons and all this, I can like cover later time, difference, like, Microsoft tools, they have Microsoft Visual Studio have a bunch of tools you can actually use, I can actually do this. Okay, so for 5 sessions, then I just conclude today. And if you guys have any questions, you can ask and shoot me email.
Sure.
Then I can answer or something like that.
Sure. Does anyone have any questions now from today's session?
No, not many people on the.
No, there's a number of people on. So.
Okay, so that's good. I actually finished my debugger session, and thank everybody. Stay with me and in the end. And it is a great experience, so thanks everybody.
No, it's been a lot of help, so thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Vincent.
Hey, no problem. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Vincent.
Bye.